Welcome to the Teaching Bites podcast. Here are your hosts, Fred and Sharon Jaravada.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Teaching Bites show, where we connect you with people and ideas to take your teaching to the next level. I'm your host, Sharon Jaravada.
And I am Fred Jaravada.
And today, we're going to talk about presentation apps. So there's a lot out there.
Okay, but before we get started with that, why do you want to talk about presentation apps? I'm just curious.
I thought there's so many out there. That's what I was just saying. There's so many out there that, I want to break it down for teachers, for ones that you can use yourself to give presentations, and also for your students to learn from you.
Okay, definitely there's a lot. So this is what I do. When I'm a lot of people already that I'm an educational innovation coordinator, where I help teachers plan out all this technology and all this innovative ways in their curriculum. So when you talked about presentation apps, and we're doing this on the fly, by the way, and you brought up presentation apps, and my question would be, well, why do you want to do this? That's always my first question. Why do you want to use a presentation app? And in most cases, PowerPoint. Why do people want to use PowerPoint? What's the goal first? Right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to walk it back a little bit, and let's see what's the point of a PowerPoint or a presentation app, because maybe there's a better way of doing whatever you want to do.
Very true.
Right?
So I think you have to just ask yourself what's important, right? What's the purpose? But if you decide it's a presentation app, then we have a couple that we recommend and a couple that you probably heard of that we may not use. Okay.
So obviously the first one is PowerPoint. Everyone knows PowerPoint. PowerPoint, if you don't know this, it was originally created by Apple way back in the 70s.
I don't even know that.
Yes. So Apple computer back in the day, they were a desktop publishing. That's what they offered. They offered their competitors were IBM back in the 70s, but their niche was to show everyone that you can actually create newsletters and publish on the computer at home. So that was their thing, and they created their version of their presentation app. It was called PowerPoint. It was sold. Microsoft obviously bought it, I think, a year or two when Apple made it, and then it became part of Microsoft Office Suite.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Apple has their version. Now it's called Keynote. So you see, those are the two major ones you see being used. Actually, there's three, actually. The first one is PowerPoint and Apple's Keynote. And the third one now is Google Slides.
Yeah.
Those are the three biggest ones.
All right. And the differences are PowerPoint, you have to buy it, the license.
Well,
Microsoft.
once you buy, in a lot of cases now, if you buy a computer or a device from these companies, they will give you like a 1 year subscription free of their suite, I believe. Or it's free, I think. Maybe it's just free now.
I don't even know.
I know Apple, once you buy an Apple laptop, you can download their iLife suite, so GarageBand, Pages, and so on. And I think the same way, there's competition. Microsoft does the same thing. If you buy a Windows machine, you can get all of those for free. Obviously, Google, the whole Google apps, they call that now G Suite. That is now that's all free online, which is great. And they're all pretty much now you can work on a computer on your slides or your slide deck on any computer now. I think Apple just joined the cloud computing thing where you can actually collaborate with others. Excuse me. So that's a bonus. So yeah, so there's the three major ones, but there are other things that came out also. I think about 5 years ago, there's something called Prezi came out. That's a fairly popular one now. Prezi. If you don't know what it is a different way to present your presentation. So it's more visual, more dynamic. So you go to a deck or a slide, and then you can zoom in, right? And you can zoom in even more. And when you're zooming in, you can actually flip the deck around. You can shoot it off to a different direction, left, right.
So it's very interactive when I've seen it.
It's very interactive and it's very dynamic. I like it, but I don't use all that special effects because a lot of people, I've seen people do it a lot. And when my students did it a few years ago, they got crazy. They were like twirling all of these slides, and it just made me dizzy.
So they spend too much time on the little bells and whistles than the content.
Right.
Would you say that?
So that's the thing. That's my biggest worry when people ask, I want to use PowerPoint for this project. Well, I back it up and say, why do you want to use PowerPoint or whatever? What's the learning goal? Always remember what's the learning goal. And most of the times, the learning goal is to so that the kids can do a presentation. Right?
Well, actually, you should also think about the SAMR model too, and reference that one. S means substitute, A is augment, M is modification, R is redefinition, right? So if you go from one end of the spectrum to the other, where substitution is just like I'm replacing my poster paper with this PowerPoint. Is that going deeper? Probably not. But I think the important thing too is that, you know, I use Google Apps for Education. I loved our district adopted it 2 years ago, and same thing with slides. You could do this. There's still bells and whistles too, and I learned from you actually to have them just create the content first, and then do the little transitions and the color, because they spent so much time figuring out, oh, I like this transition, I like this color, or this theme, and it's something I had to learn the hard way. But this is my kids' first time using it, so they were excited about it and everything. But same thing with what's the other one? Keynote. Also, just any presentation tool, have them outline it first and then put everything on.
So if you want to get the augmented and the A and the M part, you definitely kids could work together.
Right.
Right. Now that gets better. So you can work together across machines, across asynchronous. I can't say that. They can work on it asynchronously. So before you even do the whole SAMR thing, is that you want to see the whole point of a presentation tool really in schools is to show knowledge and understanding of the subject matter. But there's another part of it. Okay. Yes, there's the tech part of learning how to make slides and all that stuff, but the kids are pretty savvy about that now. The other side that we're looking at and really focusing in is to teach the students how to present properly. But not just during the presentation, but before, even the day before, even the 5 minutes before, even the 1 minute before. What do you teach the kids what to do? All the kids are usually freaking out. They're all stressed out. Right? So there are some strategies on how to have them help them deliver a calm but effective presentation. One, you got to breathe. You got to teach the kids to breathe. Kids sometimes will rush, right, to the presentation. They're not breathing, and sometimes they'll just go off and it just doesn't sound good.
And speak too fast.
Speak really low. You can't even hear you anymore, very quietly. They're not breathing deep enough. So a lot of the kids, obviously, they're not used to that. So the presentation app, whatever it is, it's great. But we want to teach the kids how to present in an awesome way, right? So we want to build their skills.
That's a big lesson. You talk about like eye contact, engaging with the audience,
working the room. How do you stand in one place, or do you walk around a little bit? Don't pace back and forth. What do you do with your hands?
Right.
What do you do with? You're going to bring your notes. You're going to have notes on the computer. Your notes in your hands. What's going to work? Notes are fine, I think. If you watch the professionals, I've been watching a lot of these professionals. People do have notes. That's fine. But if we're going to compare the kids to TED Talk type of presentations, that's not fair. A lot of these adults already have a lot of experience. And I'm going to sidetrack on that. TED Talk, even if you're an accomplished speaker already, they still have a team that will help you create your slides and do this. They have a formula.
Well, that's their thing. So
in fact, there's a video viral video. You should put this on there. How to create a TED Talk. It's a parody of creating a TED Talk presentation.
Okay.
So, and he's talking it as he goes. So I'm going to stand here and look like I'm going to make a great point. I'm going to put my finger towards the audience. It's great. I mean, it's pretty cool. Sharon will go ahead and put the show notes.
Yeah, find that.
But please consider your the strategies of your students that they can use when they get nervous. We all get nervous. You make sure they get to breathe, right? And the biggest thing I've seen, I've read, and all this studies of delivering a great presentation, practice. And then you could go ahead and give the kids some guidelines, general guidelines. Take the rule of 7. Set no more than 7 slides. 7 minutes total is the project, the presentation, and no more than 7 bullet points on a page.
Or words.
Or 7 words also. Now, bullet points, a lot of the people don't like that in a lot of the presentations. Like, you'll not see a lot of bullet points in TED Talk anymore. Because they become talking points. So the kids will start reading those bullet points.
And it drowns out the audience.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So the audience can read. So there's a lot of ways to deliver great, I mean, Steve Jobs, when he was alive and he was doing Apple thing, he would have 1 or 2 words up there or a graphic.
Yeah, a picture. Mm-hmm.
Pictures worth 1,000 words, right?
Yeah, I mean, I also think one thing I didn't get to teach my 3rd graders, which I could go back, I'll do that, but a lot of them read off their slides. And so I think it's important to teach them that this is just like a, notes, kind of like a picture notes or something, and you should be able to vibe off it or just,
if you had to read your slides, you don't know your subject enough.
Right.
That's the thing. If you're going to read it, doesn't make sense.
And especially, I taught in a school with ELL students, English language learners. They're the ones that really need to practice that and be comfortable with the language. So, you have to give them scaffolds and things, but still getting them practicing and, feeling comfortable is important.
So I think the first thing would just let them breathe, have breathing exercises. There's one exercise of this. About 1 minute before they go on, they should take a deep breath by themselves, okay, where no one's looking. They could face the corner, they could go to the bathroom, whatever, in the hallway. Put their hands up above their head, stretch for the sky, the ceiling, and breathe in and out slowly for about 5 seconds, about 2 to 3 times, and then they can walk out and start delivering their presentation. Mm-hmm. And then after that, that's my first strategy. The second strategy is to teach the kids how to work the room a little bit. Being a little more dynamic with their hands, looking at certain people or certain objects in the room. Mm-hmm. That's important also. And then, if you want to videotape them, that's great. You use your smartphone. That will help, or your tablet. And then you show them and only them and not the whole class, because, some kids, if they're not trained of respecting each other yet, you may want to show your students where they can improve.
That's like a self-reflection piece. Mm-hmm. And if it's a group project, that's great too. And if you have that respective climate in your class, you can have groups of kids watch each other's groups' presentations.
Exactly.
Give feedback.
And then once you do that, here's someone. I think the last thing as a teacher you should do, as a class, you should share those presentations. Don't just keep them on your computer or your tablet or inside the classroom. Share it with the rest of your school community. Parents, obviously, they'll work.
Blog about it, yeah.
Blog about it. Mm-hmm. Obviously, make sure you follow your school's privacy policy about naming pictures, about faces, videos of your kids and names. Double check. We defer to your school's privacy policy. Okay, but in general, you don't name your kids, and you don't want a full shot of the kids' faces. So, All
Yep.
right. So yeah, you have all the apps, but also there's other ones like Haiku Learning, which is great.
Haiku Deck.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Haiku Deck is another great one. It's an app. I think online also it's available, and the kids are pretty much limited to what I just said about the seven rule, 777 rule, and they have great pictures up there, and awesome pictures. So it's cool. I mean, a lot of it is, I think it's royalty free or Creative Commons, which is great.
Yeah, and it's cool because there's like it's really simple, and there's limited templates, so you can't go crazy like PowerPoint and slides.
That's the other one, yeah.
You know.
Over design it, right?
Yeah, and
People over designed it.
It makes it look really professional. Like, and actually, it limits the number of words because if you type too many, it'll just max out. And I've done a couple. I could put those in the show notes. I use it to create a slide deck to go over our Angel Island field trip itinerary with all the third grade classes. And so that was really fun. And, you know, it's just a fun way. And my kids used it before we had Google Apps, and they love that too. The only thing is I had to use my email account because they're not old enough.
Yeah, so be careful with these apps, right? Especially online. Any app, not just presentation apps, any app, there's always the COPPA, COPPA. I don't exactly remember the name, the acronym of that, but it is a federal law about children's privacy. Every website must explain their privacy with kids, their identity, and the general rule is that they have to be at least 13. Now, I will defer again to your school's policy and to the website of the app you're using. Okay.
So just be aware of those things if you didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so be careful when you do that, but enjoy the process of teaching your kids how to make presentations. It's going to really empower them, you know, in their subject matter if they have a choice, if they can. But yeah, they're going to get better and better and better.
I mean, I would say if you don't use these and you're curious, try one and just play with it. If you need help, you probably have some coworkers at your school that know how to use it.
Email me,
Fred at
teachingbytes.com, because I do that a lot with my kids and our students. And yeah, so we'll have these links there in the show notes. All right, folks.
All right. Well, if you like our show, please share it with all your networks. We really appreciate it. And thanks for listening today. See you next time. Bye.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Teaching Bites podcast at www.teachingbites.com.